The doors were locked, not just closed, locked tight. Inside, the most powerful leaders in women's basketball were holding their breath. Commissioner Cathy Engelbert wasn't there to talk schedules or stats. She was there to confront a new reality. Caitlyn Clark.
Iowa superstar Caitlyn Clark.
NBC, billions of dollars, one player, and a proposal that could either elevate the WNBA to unprecedented heights or completely rewrite its hierarchy. What happened behind those closed doors? And why does Caitlyn Clark have the league, the media, and even the networks is scrambling? Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the move that's shaking the WNBA to its core. Caitlyn Clark Takeover. This wasn't just a polite suggestion from a broadcast partner. This was a power move designed to remind everyone who actually pays the bills. With sources with knowledge of the situation indicate that NBC executives have been watching the current season unfold with a mixture of excitement over the ratings and absolute horror at how the product is being managed. When you sign a check that big, when you commit billions of dollars to a league that has historically operated on a shoestring budget, you expect your star asset to be showcased, not headhunted. The rumors swirling around the league suggest that NBC made it crystal clear that their broadcasting roadmap for the next decade is centered almost entirely around the Caitlyn Clark phenomenon. They aren't interested in the everyone gets a trophy participation mindset that has plagued the league's marketing for years. They aren't interested in spreading the coverage so thin that no star becomes bigger than the game. They want the Michael Jordan treatment. They want the narrative focused, the stars protected, and the storylines streamlined. They want what the NBA had in the 90s, a singular force that drags the casual viewer into the arena. The emergency aspect of the meeting reportedly stemmed from an ultimatum, and ultimatums are rarely friendly. Either the league gets its house in order and stops the internal sabotage of its biggest draw, or the network will step in and dictate the terms publicly. Annie, imagine that scenario for a second. A network going public with demands about how a league should handle its players. It would be a PR nightmare of epic proportions. It's a harsh reality check for a league that has prided itself on collective struggle and sisterhood. The days of flying commercials and staying in budget hotels are over. The people paying for the charter flights want to make sure the plane lands where the money is. Rookie versus legacy. What makes this situation so volatile is the commissioner's impossible position. Cathy Engelbert is currently standing on a razor's edge.
Cathy Engelbert, the first commissioner of the WNBA.
Barefoot, balancing two opposing forces that genuinely hate each other. On one side, she has the billionaire executives from NBC, Amazon, and Disney who view the WNBA as a content farm and Caitlyn Clark as the harvest. These are people who look at spreadsheets, not box scores. They see the ratings spikes when the Fever play. They see the social media engagement numbers. They see the future. On the other side, she has a players' union and a locker room culture that is deeply resistant to the idea of one player being bigger than the shield. This is a league built on the backs of pioneers who fought for every scrap of recognition. To them, basketball is a team sport, a meritocracy where respect is earned over years, not handed out after a single college season. During this closed-door session, it's speculated that Engelbert had to deliver the bad news to the old guard of the WNBA. The message was likely brutal in its honesty. The newfound attention, the exponential salary bumps, the exposure on national television. None of it is happening because the world suddenly decided to appreciate the fundamentals of the game after 30 years. It is happening because of a singular lightning strike of popularity. And the tension in that room must have been thick enough to cut with a knife, because admitting that a rookie saved the league is a bitter pill to swallow. For veterans who have been grinding for a decade overseas, playing through injuries with zero recognition, hearing that a 22-year-old is the reason for their pay raise has to sting. But the networks don't care about paying dues. They care about ad revenue. And right now, the data shows that when number 22 sits on the bench, the viewers change the channel. They don't watch the game, they watch the player. The Olympic breaking point. But the plot thickens significantly when you look at the timing of this intervention. This emergency meeting comes right on the heels of the Olympic roster controversy, a decision that many believe was the first strike in this war between the networks and the league's coaching staff. Remember, NBC broadcast the Olympics, When the selection committee decided to leave the most popular female athlete on the planet off the roster, they didn't just hurt the fans' feelings. They allegedly cost the network millions of dollars in potential advertising revenue. Imagine the primetime matchups. Imagine the narrative of Clark versus the world. It was a guaranteed ratings bonanza, and it got flushed down the drain because of basketball reasons and internal politics. And there are whispers that this was the absolute breaking point for the executives. They watched a gold mine get handed to a competitor because the league wanted to prove a point about team chemistry or earning your spot.
I got to play and understand the game and learn my teammates without a bunch of fans just screaming at you, and I feel like that was almost a benefit for me in the way.
This emergency meeting was likely the Never Again Summit. The speculation is that the new contracts will have clauses written into them that prevent this kind of self-sabotage in the future. If the league wants the big money, they have to play the big stars. It's a ruthless corporate mindset clashing with a purist sports mentality. And in the history of professional sports, the side with the checkbook always wins. The rumor mill is buzzing that Engelbert had to stand at the front of that room and promise that the league would stop trying to humble Clark and start trying to capitalize on her. Even if it hurts the ego of every other player in the association. Even if it creates a rift in the locker room, the business imperative has officially overruled the basketball culture. Protecting the star. This brings us to the unspoken issue that was almost certainly addressed in hushed, serious tones during the meeting. The officiating. You cannot build a billion-dollar brand around a player who is getting clotheslined every time she drives to the basket while the referees look the other way. There has been a growing conspiracy theory among fans, and reportedly now among sponsors, that the league has been allowing an excessive amount of physicality against Clark to prove a point. It's the welcome to the W mentality, a rite of passage that every rookie goes through. But to a casual viewer watching at home, and more importantly to a network executive watching the bottom line, it looks like bad product management. If your star player gets injured because a veteran decided to send a message with a hard foul, the ratings crash and the investment tanks. And the emergency meeting likely involved a directive from the top to clean up the game immediately. This isn't about rigging games or fixing outcomes. It's about asset protection. It's about preserving the goose that lays the golden eggs. The NBA did it for Jordan. They called the games differently. They protected their stars. They did it for Kobe, and they did it for LeBron. The WNBA has historically resisted this star-centric officiating, clinging to a gritty and a physical identity that separates them from the flopping of the NBA. But NBC isn't paying for grit. They are paying for highlights. They are paying for deep threes and ankle breakers. The speculation is that we are about to see a major shift in how the games are called. The referees are going to be given a mandate. The players who refuse to adapt, who continue to play overly physical defense on the league's marketable stars, might find themselves fouling out early or getting fined into oblivion. The whistle is about to change, and everyone in that room knows it. Locker room versus boardroom. The resistance from the players is where this story gets truly dark. For years, WNBA players have fought for scraps. They've traveled overseas in dangerous conditions, often away from their families, just to earn a living wage during the off-season. They've endured low attendance, low salaries, and a league-wide culture that has historically offered little recognition. Every game was a grind. Every season was a struggle. Now, for the first time, the money is pouring in. The valuation of the league is skyrocketing. But here's the catch. It feels like it's all credited to one person, Caitlyn Clark. Her rise has been meteoric, and with it comes a bitter truth. The league's newfound prosperity is tied to a single, marketable star. The resentment is palpable. Veterans who have spent a decade building this league brick by brick might suddenly find themselves competing for the spotlight with a 22-year-old rookie.
Magic happens when magic happens, and we've seen it a lot with Caitlyn Clark.
And a legendary career adds another page.
The tension is almost tangible. During the emergency meeting, Engelbert likely faced questions that would make any leader sweat. What happens if the other stars refuse to participate in NBC's promotional content? What if Clark becomes socially and culturally isolated from the rest of the league? There are whispers of private messages sent to journalists, stories spun about Clark being overrated, or her fans being toxic. The locker room is a powder keg. The commissioner's job is to prevent it from exploding publicly, and the stakes couldn't be higher. One misstep could spark a PR nightmare, painting the league as favoring one player over the pioneers who fought for every scrap of respect. But this isn't just about personalities or pride. This is about the Caitlyn Clark economy. Ticket sales for the Indiana Fever are outpacing the rest of the league combined. When the Fever travel, opposing teams often relocate games to larger arenas. Merchandise sales are shattering records. The owners see the balance sheets. They understand the power of a single star. But coaches and general managers operate on different incentives. Winning games sometimes means benching Clark for defensive reasons or managing matchups. Decisions that, in a business sense, can undercut the league's most valuable asset. In this disconnect between the business side, the owners and the commissioner, and the basketball side, the coaches and players, has never been more pronounced. The emergency session was about forcing a bridge between the two. The message was simple and uncompromising. Basketball decisions can no longer interfere with business imperatives. NBC and other networks are committing billions of dollars to the league, and their interests are clear. Primetime matchups must feature Clark. Marketing campaigns must showcase her. Even game strategy may need to bend to ensure the network's vision is realized. Autonomy, once a core principle of coaching, is now constrained by economic necessity. It's a bitter pill to swallow, and not everyone in that room can do it gracefully. Veterans who have spent their careers fighting for every opportunity now face a new reality. The league is thriving not because of collective effort, but because of a lightning strike of individual popularity. Egos are fragile. Locker rooms are volatile. The fear is real. Push too hard to elevate Clark, and the league risks mutiny. Fail to protect her, and the billions on the table could vanish. This is the paradox of growth in professional sports. The WNBA has spent decades building credibility, grit, and a culture of collective struggle. Now, a single player has become the fulcrum of its financial future.
A lot of people translate to the WNBA. I think Caitlyn Clark just answered that a little bit, weaving through not one, not two, four.
Balancing respect for the pioneers with the demands of a corporate media machine is a tightrope walk. Every decision carries consequences, and every whisper in that conference room echoes far beyond its walls. The Caitlyn Clark economy is here, and the league must either adapt or risk fracturing under the weight of its own success. Mutiny and the leash. The resistance from the players is where this story turns truly dark. For years, WNBA athletes have fought for scraps, playing overseas in dangerous conditions, away from their families, just to make a living during the off-season. They've endured low attendance, meager salaries, and minimal recognition. Now the money is pouring in, but the credit is falling squarely on the shoulders of one person, Caitlyn Clark. The resentment is palpable. What happens if other stars refuse to participate in NBC's promotional content? What happens if Clark's team becomes isolated socially and culturally from the rest of the league? Rumors of private messages spinning narratives about Clark being overrated or her fans being toxic reveal the psychological warfare brewing in the locker room. Engelbert's impossible task is managing this brewing civil war before it spills onto the court and damages the brand irreparably. The emergency meeting was about containment, making veterans smile for cameras, pose for all-star photos, and accept a reality they may find deeply uncomfortable. But egos are fragile, and the locker room is volatile. Push the NBC agenda too hard, and the players might revolt publicly, creating a PR nightmare that questions the league's fairness and respect for its pioneers. Layer onto that the darker, more speculative angle. NBC is reportedly planning a documentary-style series following the league, akin to Drive to Survive for Formula One or Full Swing for golf.
Well, Caitlyn Clark is thoroughly enjoying a bit of downtime in the off-season, throwing herself into the golf.
But with a heavy focus on rookies and rivalries. Suddenly, the panic from the veterans makes sense. Whoever controls the edit controls the narrative. If the cameras highlight Clark, Reese, and the young guns while portraying veterans as obstacles, The old guard's legacy could be rewritten as the antagonists in their own league. The harsh reality of sports entertainment is that conflict sells. Peace is boring. Caitlyn NBC knows that Queen versus Rookie is a far more compelling story than harmony in the locker room. Engelbert is now tasked with convincing players that playing the villain in the public eye may pay better than playing the victim. An uphill battle for competitive athletes who feel disrespected daily. And then there's the corporate leash. Official statements have grown measured. The league's PR machine clamped down after the early wave of jealousy-fueled commentary. Even the emergency meeting likely reinforced an unspoken gag order. Negative comments about the league's cash cow will not be tolerated. New fans, jersey buyers, league pass subscribers, casual viewers are the ones NBC is targeting. Alienate them with internal bickering and the ratings plummet. The message is clear. You don't have to like Clark in the locker room. You don't have to be friends with her. But publicly undermining the product she represents is unacceptable. The leash is tightening, and it will chafe. The locker room mutiny and the corporate agenda are now intertwined, two forces pulling the league in opposite directions. The question remains, can Engelbert keep the peace without sacrificing authenticity? Or is the WNBA about to undergo a transformation so profound?
The NBA Finals. Cathy Engelbert has got to do more than say she's disheartened in a press release.
That the game and its culture will never be the same again. The new WNBA. And what about Caitlyn Clark herself in all of this? She has remained stoic throughout the chaos, the perfect corporate soldier. Was saying all the right things, deflecting praise, thanking her teammates, but the pressure on her is immense and largely invisible. NBC betting the house on her success puts a target on her back bigger than anything we've seen in women's sports in years. If she fails or if she gets injured, the ripple effect doesn't just hurt the Indiana Fever.
Injury. Clark was emerging as one of the most dynamic players in the league.
It threatens to collapse the entire strategic roadmap for the league's media partners. This emergency meeting was, in essence, a risk assessment. The league is putting all its eggs in one basket, and the wolves are circling. The commissioner's job is to build a fence around that basket. We may soon see rule changes designed to protect the stars, shorter shot clocks, stricter foul calls on the perimeter, or illegal defense rules. All measures to open up the floor and let the shooters shoot. Purists will decry this as the death of the game's integrity, while accountants whisper that it's the only way to save the league's financial future. When the WNBA is in metamorphosis, and this meeting was the cocoon stage, ugly, messy, hidden from view, but necessary for a new form to emerge. The implications extend far beyond this season. For decades, the WNBA existed as a charitable extension of the NBA.
The athletes that represent her league. And then the person I call the golden goose of the WNBA, Caitlyn Clark.
A lost leader subsidized for goodwill. That era is over. With Caitlyn Clark's meteoric rise in the NBC deal, the league now has a direct path to profitability, but that path demands abandoning the old sisterhood model and embracing a superstar-driven framework. This meeting was, in effect, the funeral for the old WNBA. The league where players flew coach, stayed in mediocre hotels, and worked second jobs in the offseason is dying. In its place is a league fueled by private jets, massive TV contracts, celebrity endorsements, and global visibility. But the labor pains are real. Veterans clinging to the old ways are being dragged, kicking and screaming, into this new era. NBC doesn't care about history or the culture of camaraderie that built the league. They care about Q ratings, viewership, and revenue. Commissioner Cathy Engelbert's emergency meeting was a warning shot across the bow. Align with the new reality or be left behind.
The response from WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert came in the form of a statement.
Caitlyn Clark isn't just a star. She is the axis on which the league's next decade will turn. The old WNBA is in the past. The new one is being written in real time, and the stakes have never been higher. The boardroom emptied, but the consequences linger. Caitlyn Clark isn't just a player. She's the pivot on which the league now turns. Every decision, every deal, every broadcast will ripple through the WNBA in ways we're only beginning to see. Will the league bend to the force of her influence? Or will the old guard fight back until the last shot is fired? One thing is certain, the game has changed. And the next chapter will decide whether this revolution strengthens the sport or breaks it forever.